Hi guys, I think there's some wonderful Labour MPs who are fighting to turn their party around. They got into politics, I believe, to make the lives of ordinary people better. These politicians need support from the outside, but they also need to build a coalition within to fight against bad policies. Clive Lewis is one of those MPs, and he's in a bit of a fix at the moment. He believes that the Labour Party should prioritise issues like support for the disabled and the poor, but he knows that if he resigns his seat, he'll have zero influence on changing the party's direction. Clive was asked here if the new Labour government has been a disappointment, and his initial silence speaks volumes.
14 years since the last Labour government. It's a long time in opposition. Has this Labour government been a disappointment?
I think some of us all kind of already knew that there were some problems in terms of how the lack of a plan and an ideology behind it, a lack of a strategy, I think, was something some of us were worried about. But they won a massive majority, a massive mandate, and you have to give people a chance. And I think we're at the point now where people can see that this isn't what we expected, and isn't what a lot of the public expected, a lot of the MPs expected. In that sense, it is a disappointment. The question now is, do we have the strength and the ability to change tack and do something with 4 years ahead of us where we can bring the British public with us? Because, tackling vested interests, and that's what we're talking about here. People who have done very well in the sixth richest economy, very wealthy, one of the most unequal economies in the Western world, are not going to roll over without a fight. But you're going to have to bring the British public with you and say to them, there are choices before us. There's going to be more austerity. Public services are going to be a problem. How are we going to reach 3% of defence spending, the pledge that Keir Starmer given? Where's that going to come from? And I think we have to look at alternatives and an alternative way of running the economy and who it works for. And that's what's before us. And if Keir and Rachel and the leadership team can do that, they've got a fighting chance. If they can't, I'm struggling, as I imagine many people are, to see how we're going to weather these next 4 years and go into an election on the mandate that we have made your lives better. I'm struggling to see that at the moment.
Clive has a majority of about 12,000. 13,000 actually. It increased from 12,000 the last time. Now, even he is looking precarious, because I don't know if you saw the information that was appearing on the side of the screen, but Sky News reported that these changes to benefits and the welfare system could result in 50,000 children going into absolute poverty or relative poverty. 10,000 employees within the civil service are going to be removed from their positions. This is going to have a massive impact on people's lives. Now, Labour came into power saying we were going to rebuild public services. Now, a lot of money has gone in to defence, has gone into the NHS, so technically we can't call this austerity because it's not affecting all government departments. But the rest of the government, it seems, are expected to take some sort of hit or at least freeze spending. So it will not increase with inflation. Universal credit is changing as well, and a lot of people are going to be worse off. This is going to be very difficult for Labour MPs to explain on the doorstep. People are going to be angry. People will be angry with the government, but they're not going to differentiate. They're not going to decide, well, I'm not going to punish you because you're a good politician. They're going to punish the entire party. They're going to punish the entire government. They're going to be angry with the government, so they'll punish the party. We saw this before. Good Tories, if there are any, lost their seats as well as along with the bad ones, because the public were upset with the government. They were upset with the status quo. So there are good MPs within the Labour Party who are fighting to convince the party not to go down this road. But because Keir Starmer has a massive majority, he can ignore these people, at least for now. This is why I think it's so important that MPs form coalitions within Parliament. They form these blocs, a bit like the ERG did during the Brexit saga, to influence government, to steer it in the right direction, to put pressure on the Chancellor, to put pressure on the Prime Minister, to rebel if they believe that they have a chance of stopping a policy. They'll have to pick their fights. But I think what we're going to see is we're going to see a massive backlash from Labour MPs and, of course, the public. And then we're going to see perhaps blocs appearing within Parliament against cuts like this. But if they don't, if they're not able to steer Labour in the right direction, then they're going to lose their seats along with everyone else. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.